All right, so for today's class, we'll be looking at mean, median, and mode for grouped data. So with the same treatment, I'll just read through this and we look at the examples and see if there's anything that I can provide any insight into what the notes are saying. All right, let's kickstart. The mean and median can be estimated from tables of group data. The class interval, which contains the most values, is known as the modal class. All right, so work example number one. The table below gives data on heights in centimeter of 51 children. You have the class interval, and then you have the frequency, and they ask to estimate the mean height, find the median class, and find the modal class. Now, remember when we were doing, we're looking at the mean, median, and mode before, near the beginning of this topic, we can just recall that the mean is basically a simple average. Median is the number in the middle, of a set of ordered numbers, right? And if it's not a odd set, then you would just take the average of the two middle numbers. And then the modal or the mode would be the number that appears most frequent, right? So that was what we did before. Now the data is grouped. They have, classes, you have a range 140 to 150, 150 to 160, 160, 170, 170 to 180. So you have the height being in these different intervals, right? So let us see what they do in order to determine the mean, the median, and the mode in a sense. So they said to estimate the mean, the midpoint of each interval should be used. All right. So we have 140, 150, and you find the midpoint, which is 145, right? You go again, 150, 160, 155 is the midpoint, 160, 170, 165 is the midpoint. Another thing I want you to notice very carefully is that this is 140 inclusive of 140 because it has the less than or equal to sign. And then the height goes all the way up to 140, up to just before 150, right? So it could be 149,999,199, whatever, right? So just anything just less than 150, not including 150, right? All right. So midpoint for that 145, and you go again from 150 now. This time I start at 150, you go just before 160. All right, so take the midpoint, the frequency, those were given, and then you multiply the midpoint and the frequency. All right, you continue multiply midpoint and frequency, midpoint and frequency, and you add it up, you get this number. So this is a, the sum of, this total is the sum of the product of the midpoint and frequency. All right, and then all you do here is to say, all right, this number divided by the total frequency, and you get the mean, 161, to the nearest CM, because that's what it asks, I believe. Table, boo, boo, boo. Oh, so they didn't specify, did they specify to the nearest centimeter? Nope, but, I guess you can, the question just say to the nearest, the solution just said to the nearest centimeter, which is fine. All right, so the median is a 26 value. In this case, it lies in the 160 to 170 class interval. Note that you can estimate the median height, although this is not in the CXC syllabus, right? Now, how they get that? That is the question, right? So if you look, you have 51 as the frequency. So in a sense, you have 51 points of data, right? All right, and you basically say, okay, 6 of them is in this class, which the midpoint is a good representation, right? 145 appear 6 times, right? So we're not saying literally in the data set 145 appear 6 times. You have data spread out in the interval 140 to 150, but the midpoint would be the representation, you know, like an average of what's in between this interval. So it's like that this 1 point represents the data in between here. And we say, okay, it appears 6 times, right? So data in this class interval represented by 145 appears 6 times. All right, so as I said before, the median is that number in the middle, right? So 51 is an odd number, and the 26 value would be the number in the middle, right? You can think of it as, okay, 25 on the left side, 25 on the right side, and the 26 value, which is in the middle, is a median. And if you look here, this right here would give you 6 and 16, give it 22. So you know that there's 4 more, and you're landing 26. So 26 must be, the 26 value must be in this class interval 160 to 170, right? So see there, in this case, it lies 160 to 170 class interval. So you know for sure that it's somewhere there. Now, as I guess they're telling you exactly now, they say the fourth value in the interval is needed, right? Because as I said, this is 6.22, so we just need the fourth value to go to 26. So they give an estimation. So this is not, they said this is not in the CXC syllabus, so maybe I shouldn't even stress it, but here it is. It is estimated by 160, right? They say 160, right? Because remember, it's like you know it's somewhere here. It's a fourth value here. So there's a 160, and then there's a 4 over 21, because it's like you need a fourth value from this set. And then they have multiplied by 10. 10 will represent the interval itself, right? 160 to 169, something, right? That is 10. I need to work out this calculation, 160 plus 4 over 21 times 10, equal 162. So as I said before, this is just extra learning, not in the syllabus. At least I don't recall it being in the latest syllabus to know this, right? But we'll go on. This part now, the modal class is 160 to 170 as it contains the most values. See there? 160 to 170 contains 21 values. So that's clear. It's also know that when we speak of someone by age, say 8, then the person could be any age from 8 years, 0 days, up to 8 years, 364 days. And then it's a 365 in a leap year. You will see how this is tackled in the following example, right? Let me say it again. Also know that when we speak of someone by age, say 8, then the person could be any age from 8 years up to 8, 364, and then it's a 365 in a leap year. because it has to be like this, because if you were to put 365 here, then of course this would just be 9 years. So wouldn't make any sense. And if it's a leap year, you want 1 day less, so that it still be considered 8 years and not a complete 9 years, right? So let us see what happened here. The age of students in a small primary school were recorded in the table below. Estimate the mean, estimate the median, find the modal class. So you have the ages are the age classes 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 10, 29, 40. So the frequency 29, 40, 38. Already see that 7 to 8 would be the modal class because they're the most frequent, right? The mean now, you'd have to do some gymnastics. I guess you get the midpoint, multiply them out, find the sum of the products of the midpoint and frequency and divide it by the total frequency. That's how you find the mean. And then the median is just whatever is in the middle. So we see the solution here. To estimate the mean, we must use a midpoint of each interval. So for example, 5 to 6, which really means 5, see there now, which really means 5 less than or equal to the age. So whatever age that lies between lies between greater than or equal to 5, but less than 7, right? Completely less than 7. So what you have here, the midpoint is taken at 6, right? So 5 to 6 midpoint is 6, right? And this is very important because I don't know, maybe I think in an exam, you would think they would more put this than to write it this way than to put it like this right here, 5 to 6, because some people may misunderstand and say, okay, yes, it's 5, but they may say 5 and less than or equal to, no, greater than or equal to 5, but less than 6. Because people can misinterpret it and then think that the midpoint is around 5.5. And so hopefully it is the standard. Like, let me say it another way. Hopefully this is the exception that they will represent it like this, right? Because I wouldn't want it to be represented like this. All right, so we have the midpoint. We'll multiply the midpoint and the frequency, and we take the sum of it and we divide by the 107. 107 is the total. And then of course we do the multiplication here. So we understand how we get the midpoint, because this 5 to 6 is really 5, right? Is really the age being greater than or equal to 5, but less than 7. And then this now would be the age is greater than or equal to 7, but less than 9, right? And then this is now the age is greater than or equal to 9, but less than 11. So you have to understand this, or else your midpoint will be wrong. And as the name suggests, midpoint, the value that is at the middle, right? So there, the median is given by the 54th value. So 107 is an odd number. So you can just split it in 2 and find that number in the middle, right? So when you think about it, let me see. So 53 on the left side, 53 on the right side, and you would left with 54. The 54th value would be in the middle. So when you look at this, the 54th value would be somewhere in the 7-8 region, 7 to 8 region, or you can say age, age is greater than or equal to 7, but less than 9, right? And so it'd be somewhere here, because they have 29, and if you add 40 to that, that's at 69, right? You would overshoot the 54th value, but you know for sure it would be here. It would be somewhere here to reach the 54th value coming from 29. All right. So we can read through that, that's clear. And the same estimation thingy, I'm say it's not part of the syllabus for this part, that look at estimation. But the modal we know is 78 since it has the most values, right? And then this is a good little note. Work example one uses what are called continuous data, since height can be any value. Other examples of continuous data are weight, temperature, area, volume, and time. Next example uses discrete data, that is data which can take only a particular value, such as the integers 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case. The calculations for mean and mode are not affected, but estimation of the median requires replacing the discrete group data with an approximate continuous interval. So look at what they're actually saying in the example. The number of days that students were missing from school due to sickness in 1 year was recorded. Number of days of sick, 1 to 5, 6 to 8, right? So these are discrete days, are discrete data points in the sense that you can't be, at least they don't assume that you take a half a day or a 3/4 day or a 3/7 of a day off. You take the full day off, right? Again, same setup. It's to estimate the mean, find the median class, same setup. So the estimate is made by assuming that all values in a class interval are equal to the midpoint of the class interval, right? So this is, so we'll look 1 to 5 days, right? So this is literally 1 to 5 days, and then because if you put say 1 to, if you put greater than or equal to 1 but less than 6, then you're going to get 1 to 5, right? So it's not like you're going to have like a 5.5 day, right? And then this is now 8 days greater than or equal to 6 but less than 11, which is the same as 6 to 10. All right, hopefully you guys get that point. If not, you can always stop me and I'll put a little number line and show you. All right, so it's at the midpoint. 3 being the midpoint, 8 being the midpoint. What else? Yeah, you just go through midpoint. Frequency. We get the frequency values from the top. Midpoint times frequency, 3 times 12. And then so on and so forth. You divide, you get the number of days. Of course, again, median, check it out. Because this is an even number now. So you could take, no, I'll say take the 2 middle numbers, right? So let's see what they say. As there are 40 students, we need to consider the mean of the 20th and the 21st values, right? And that's it. These both lie in the 6 to 10 class, luckily, which is really the 5.5 to 10.5 class interval. So this interval contains the median. So answer 40. All right. This is another one. Same old. I think this has a probability. And what I would tell you for this is to try some questions on your own and get back to me. Right? Or this even have a, let me see. They sort of even ask it to do a frequency polygon to represent the distribution of the scores in the table, right? And then we'll have some questions here. I'm not going to do any. I will ask you to look at them for homework. Shauna?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so like you have a question? No question?
No, sir. So far, so good.
All right. So let me stop sharing for a little while, and because basically this topic finished.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look for the next topic and reshare.